Okay, so imagine living in a world where turning 100 is just like the beginning. Kind of exciting, right? Maybe even a little scary.
It is. It's both of those things.
But that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today in this deep dive. It's all about not just living longer, but living better, really making the most of those years.
And we've got some amazing sources to help us unpack this whole idea of longevity. Like, there's this really interesting forum called the ESG Kren. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have not, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It translates to the ESG Forum on Elderly Care and Inheritance. Plus, we'll be drawing on some wisdom from this spine health expert. He's treated thousands of patients.
Okay. Sounds like we've got a lot to cover then.
We do.
And our mission, I guess, is to sort of give our listeners the tools they need to navigate this future of longer lifespans, right?
Exactly.
It's like a toolkit for a long and fulfilling life.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll be looking at lifestyle choices, finances, even the role of spinal health, which I'm curious to learn more about.
Yeah, that one's full of surprises. But, one of the biggest things that jumped out at me from that ESG forum was the whole demographic shift that's happening.
Yeah.
We're talking about a rapidly aging population, more and more people living alone, and fewer babies being born.
Right. It's a global trend, isn't it?
It is. But the numbers in Taiwan are pretty striking.
Yeah, they are. Like, by 2025, they're projecting something like 4.7 million people over 65. That's a lot of people needing support and care.
It is, and it makes you think about how we design our systems and communities to support that. Mm-hmm. Especially with more people living alone.
It's true. There was that sad case of the Japanese actress.
Oh, right, yeah.
Who passed away in her bathtub alone.
It's a tough reality to face.
Yeah. It really highlights the potential for isolation and the need for proactive support systems.
It does make you think, right? Like, how can we make sure aging doesn't automatically mean loneliness or vulnerability?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? It's about creating a future where those things don't go hand in hand.
Exactly. And I think one of the experts from the forum, Dr. Su-Ta Cheng, had a really interesting take on this. He's a big proponent of health promotion over disease management.
So what does that mean exactly?
Well, instead of waiting for something to go wrong, it's about actively building resilience and vitality as we age.
Gotcha. So it's like investing in your health before the problems even arise.
Exactly. And he debunks some of those common myths about aging, like the whole less meat, less oil thing for seniors.
Which, I've always kind of wondered about that.
He really stresses that proper nutrition is crucial for strength and energy.
It's about fueling your body for the long haul, right? Not depriving it.
Exactly. It's about making those years count. And he talks about sleep, too.
Oh, yeah.
Huge emphasis on sleep, especially for women.
Because of the impact on hormones and all that.
Exactly. He sees it as a vital part of healthy aging, not just a luxury.
Right. Okay, so we've got the physical well-being covered.
Yeah. But what about the financial side of things? Yeah. Like, it's one thing to live to 100, but can you afford to enjoy those years, right? That's where Chen Yuchun comes in.
Okay.
He was another speaker at the forum, and he really hammered home the need for financial preparedness. And some of the stats he shared were kind of alarming.
Like what?
Well, for instance, the average life insurance coverage in Taiwan, it's only 578,000 NTD.
Which seems like a lot, but...
But when you think about potential long-term care costs or unexpected medical bills...
Right, it might not be enough.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, right? Like, do you feel confident that your current financial plan would cover those things? If not, what can you do today to be more prepared?
And speaking of planning, he also brought up this really fascinating idea of insurance donation.
Oh, right, yeah.
I have to admit, I'd never heard of that before.
It's a unique approach. Basically, you can donate a portion of your life insurance benefits to a charity or a cause you care about.
So even after you're gone, your money can continue to make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like weaving philanthropy into your financial plan.
I like that. So it's not just about leaving money to your family. It's about leaving a legacy of giving back, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's really interesting.
And, he also talked about legacy in a broader sense, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about money, right? It's about the values we embody, the relationships we build, the impact we have on the world.
What kind of mark do you want to leave? That's a big question.
It is. And it's not something we should only think about in our later years.
It's about making choices throughout our lives that reflect what matters to us.
Right. And that leads us to another big piece of the longevity puzzle.
Yeah.
Our physical ability to actually enjoy those later years. And spine health plays a bigger role than you might think.
Spine health. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, we're going to be diving into the work of Cheng-Yan Lung. He's this incredible spine expert. Okay, he's treated like 40,000 patients and has over 60 million views on YouTube.
Wow. Okay, he must know what he's talking about then.
He does. And his main argument is that real lasting change comes from making consistent lifestyle adjustments.
So it's not just about quick fixes.
No, it's about building those healthy habits.
So it's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. And he sees this disconnect all the time. People are more willing to pay for treatments than to actually put in the effort to prevent problems in the first place.
Which is kind of ironic when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
He even came up with a term for it. Spine surgery failure syndrome.
Spine surgery failure syndrome.
Yeah. Basically, he's found that even after successful surgeries, people can still have problems if they don't change their habits, like their posture, the way they move, their muscle strength.
So surgery might fix one specific thing,
Yeah.
but it doesn't magically transform your whole approach to movement and body mechanics.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, he teaches this really simple exercise called Liang Shen Gao, which translates to tall and relaxed.
Okay, so how do you do it?
Imagine you're standing tall, reaching for the ceiling with the crown of your head, but at the same time, relax your shoulders. Let your arms hang naturally.
Yeah, I can feel that. It's subtle, but I can feel a difference.
Right. And he says these little adjustments, if you practice them regularly, they can have a huge impact on your long-term well-being.
Yeah.
Because taking care of your spine isn't just about avoiding back pain. It's about preserving your mobility and independence so you can actually enjoy those later years.
It's about being able to engage with the world on your own terms, right?
Exactly.
So welcome back to our deep dive into all things longevity.
Yeah.
We've been talking about how important it is to get ready for the future, not just physically, but financially too. And I want us to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, that whole concept of insurance donation.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are probably hearing about that for the first time and thinking, what is that?
Right. It's not something you hear about every day.
No. So can you break it down for us? How does it actually work?
Sure. So basically, if you have a life insurance policy, you can choose to donate a part of it, or even all of it, to a charity or a cause that you really care about.
So it's like even after you're gone, you can still be making a difference.
Exactly. It's like, built-in giving.
Right. You're not just leaving money for your family, you're leaving a legacy of giving back to the world.
Exactly. And there are different ways to set it up, too. You can make it a one-time donation when you pass away, or you can set up a trust that will keep giving over time. It's really flexible.
That's really interesting. It's like having a plan for your money to do good even after you're gone.
Yeah, and it ties in nicely with what Chen-Yi-Chun was saying about legacy in general.
Oh, right.
It's not just about the financial stuff. It's about the values you live by, the connections you make, the impact you have. It's like, what do you want to be remembered for?
It's a big question, isn't it? What kind of mark do you want to leave on the world?
It is. And it's not something to wait until you're old to think about either.
It's about making choices today that reflect those things.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about getting your finances in order, thinking about your legacy. But there's another crucial ingredient to living a long and happy life.
Okay, what's that?
Social connections.
Oh, yeah. That came up a lot at the forum, didn't it?
Yeah, like over and over again. And for good reason. The research is really clear on this.
It is. Loneliness and social isolation.
Yeah.
Those are big risk factors for all sorts of health problems. Everything from, heart disease to cognitive decline.
It's not just about having a lot of friends on Facebook either, right?
No, it's not about quantity. It's about real connection. Having people you can rely on, people who make you feel like you belong.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity.
And honestly, some experts even say that having strong social bonds is just as important for your health as eating right and exercising.
Really? Wow. Okay, so how do we nurture those kinds of connections, especially as we get older and our lives might change? Maybe we retire, maybe we move.
Well, the first thing is to remember that it takes effort.
It's not something that just happens, right?
Exactly. You have to be proactive, make time for those meaningful interactions, really nurture the relationships you have, and be open to making new ones too.
And it's not just about personal relationships either, is it?
No.
It's also about that feeling of being connected to something bigger than yourself, like a community, a cause you care about, maybe even a spiritual practice.
Exactly. And there's so many ways to do that. You can volunteer, join a club, just be an active citizen. All of those things can give you a sense of purpose and belonging, which is huge for well-being.
It's like that ripple effect, right? When you connect with others and contribute to something bigger than yourself, it just creates this positive energy that flows outwards.
Exactly. And it kind of brings us back to that question that Chang Yunlung asked,
Yeah, about what kind of change you want to create in the world.
Right. It's not just about living longer. It's about living a life that matters.
And speaking of creating change, I'm really excited to move into our next segment where we'll be looking at some of the most innovative approaches to elderly care.
Oh, yeah.
Because it sounds like things are changing so much in that area. We're moving beyond that traditional model of nursing homes and towards something much more personalized and community-based.
We are. It's all about empowering people to age in place, surrounded by their loved ones, and a supportive community. And technology is playing a huge role in making that happen.
So we've talked about taking charge of our health, being smart with our finances, building strong relationships, and really thinking about the legacy we want to leave behind. And now it's time to see how all of those pieces fit into the big picture when it comes to caring for our aging population.
Right. And I think one of the most exciting trends we're seeing is this move away from institutionalized care, like nursing homes, and towards a more personalized, community-based model.
So instead of the default being, okay, you're getting older, you need to go to a nursing home, we're looking at ways to support people to age in place, to stay in their own homes and communities for as long as possible.
And technology is a huge part of that, like with telehealth, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's becoming really popular, isn't it?
It is. It lets people have those medical consultations remotely without having to go to the doctor all the time.
Right, which is a big help for seniors and their families, I'm sure. What other kinds of tech advancements are making a difference?
Well, there are all sorts of smart home technologies now.
Oh, yeah. The smart home stuff, that's everywhere now.
It is. And it can really help seniors stay safe and independent. Things like medication reminders, fall detection systems, even sensors that can track changes in someone's routine and alert caregivers if something seems off.
It's like having a built-in safety net.
It is.
But technology can only do so much, right?
Right.
What about the human side of things?
Yeah, that's just as important. And alongside all the tech, we're also seeing more intergenerational living communities popping up.
Oh, I love that idea. What are those exactly?
They're spaces designed for people of all ages to live together and interact. So you have seniors living alongside younger people, sharing their experiences and skills, and even helping each other out.
It breaks down those age barriers we see so often,
It does.
Like, I can imagine older adults sharing their wisdom and knowledge, maybe even helping with childcare, while younger generations bring fresh perspectives and energy.
Exactly. And it creates this wonderful sense of belonging and shared purpose, which we know is so important for well-being at any age.
And speaking of purpose, one thing Dr. Su-Ta Cheng really stressed was the importance of keeping our minds engaged as we age.
Oh, yeah. Lifelong learning is huge.
Because it's not just about living longer, right?
Right.
It's about making those years count, having that mental sharpness, that curiosity.
He said it's like exercising a muscle. Our brains need to be challenged to stay strong. So, try new things, take classes, have stimulating conversations. All those things can help keep those mental gears turning.
And of course, we can't forget about the basics like sleep, especially for women and those hormonal shifts.
Right. Good sleep hygiene is super important as we age. It's not just about how much you sleep, but how well you sleep.
And what about physical activity? I know Cheng Yanalong was a big advocate for finding ways to move your body that you enjoy.
Oh, yeah. He said it's all about finding what works for you, whether it's walking, dancing, swimming, anything that gets you moving and helps you maintain that mobility and independence.
It's about staying active so you can keep doing the things you love, right?
Exactly. It's an investment in your future self.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into longevity, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think for me, it's realizing that there's no one magic bullet, Longevity isn't about finding that one secret trick. It's about taking a holistic approach, making conscious choices in all areas of your life.
It's about taking ownership of your health, your finances, your relationships, and really figuring out what gives your life meaning and purpose.
And recognizing that those things are all interconnected,
It's never too early or too late to start making those changes.
That's so true.
And I love that question Cheng Yanlung asked about what kind of result you want to create in the world. It's a powerful reminder that we all have the power to shape our own futures, even as we age. So, for all of you listening out there, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep asking those big questions.
And remember, it's not just about living longer, it's about living a life that you love, a life that makes a difference.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the topics that matter most.
See ya.